On the short term, ADA price testing an upper trend line breakout area. On the long term, retail scooping up that ADA. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Thank you for coming by. This is a Cardano video, and I'm just going to jump right into it. This is a daily. This is actually a 6-hour chart. Slow down. Slow down, Dan. This is a 6-hour chart. I made an oopsie yesterday in my video in terms of what's going on here, and I want to correct it. I want to add to it, add to what I was talking about, and kind of talk about what's going on right now with this new 6-hour candle, also a new daily candle happening. Before we do, some awesome data on chain metrics. This, I think we've looked at this before, historical concentration. It kind of breaks down whales, investors, retail, and then prices on there, obviously in black. But I just want to just draw some attention real quick to what's going on here on the retail side of things in orange. So, and more specifically, I want to draw the attention to the top of Cardano price, right? This was like the end of August 2021. This was Cardano just trading above $3, and then you know what has happened since. It's been just down since. What's so interesting and cool to me on this chart, if you look at the orange, you look at retail, obviously it went down briefly until like September 6th. Like, so that first week where price was starting to go down, retail, bailed out a little bit, but then it just was sideways. And ever since, really ever since the top, Cardano just falling, retail has been scooping up Cardano like never before. And, you can actually even see in green up here that those are whales. You can see when price topped out and started dipping, even whales got in on that action a little bit right there. But just look at orange, retail scooping up that Cardano. And that is something very, very cool to see, because if we're looking at this chart alone, and then we're looking at what's going on outside of just data and price and all of that, and we're just looking at community, and we're looking at things like Twitter and these, you see these polls that are coming out all the time on Twitter. It's usually about something comparing Ethereum, Solana, AVAX, and Cardano just demolishes in every poll. It's actually very funny. But the reason that is, I think the community behind Cardano, the interest behind Cardano is so colossal. It is so large. And I think a majority of it, even still, is silent. And that is extremely intriguing to me, because Cardano, in the grand scheme of things, when we're looking at things like market cap sitting at only 40 billion, is undervalued, in my very strong opinion. We see things like total value locked. We've been tracking just the very early stage of this graph and the growth of Cardano DeFi. This is early stage. Imagine what happens when, right now sitting at 252 million locked. Imagine what happens when we're hitting a billion, when Cardano's hitting 10 billion, when Cardano's hitting 100 billion. Imagine what is going to happen to the value of Cardano just in terms of price, in terms of market cap. And I think that all of those things in combination with what's happening here, that is the growth of retail accumulating. And the thing is about this is this isn't, I don't see retail really, and actually it's demonstrated perfectly with price topping out back in August, September. It's not like it just fell off like crazy, right? It didn't just fall off. It actually, retail started growing like a week later, even as price was sinking. There are a lot of people out there, and I think a lot of them are silent, right? It's not, you don't see a lot of media attention with Cardano. Much of the crypto media does not like Cardano for obvious reasons. Even exchanges like Gemini, they don't like Cardano. Their stable coins obviously built on Ethereum. So when it comes to just the spotlight shining on Cardano, it's really not going to happen that much in the larger audience and media channels that is in crypto. But there are a lot of people. There are a lot of people, and this is what we're talking about. Just people, you and I, right? Out there accumulating Cardano, and they see what's happening. I think they see what's getting ready to happen. And I don't think there's a lot of interest to just sell all their Cardano, right? I think there's more interest to accumulate, to stake their Cardano. And I think this data is just really cool, and I want to continue tracking that. And along with that, we've been tracking this as well, this graph. And by the way, just to explain this real quick, whales that you see in green addresses holding over 1% of a crypto asset circulating supply. Investors addresses holding between 0.1% and 1% of a circulating supply. Retail is addresses with less than 0.1% of circulating supply. So let's just real quick go back up to that. So less than 0.1% of Cardano basically supply. And you can just see it's growing, right? So in orange right now, right around 61.36 billion ADA, 61.89 billion ADA, and it's pretty epic to see that graph. So the other thing is this: we've tracked this, and this is cruisers, hodlers, traders, and the cruisers is the 1 to 12 month, right? So you can just see in green, it continues to rise, and that is something that has been basically rising even as price has been falling. Retail, obviously, in orange, going to be fluctuating all over the places. Kind of, I'm sorry, not retail. Traders in orange going to be fluctuating as traders are trading. But even the hodlers, the 1+ year addresses basically holding ADA for 1+ year in blue at the bottom, even increasing, right? So holders are holding, and it just seems retail that is coming into ADA and accumulating ADA, they're holding as well, and it's just like they want more. It seems like they want more, and I really wanted to go over that data real quick. And what do you think happens also? Grayscale, obviously, and look, Cardano's sitting right behind Solana now. Cardano was number one, but still, in this X Ethereum smart contract fund that Grayscale just released, 26% allocated to Cardano. What happens when Cardano finally gets its own Grayscale trust? It still does not have one. I think it's going to eventually. I really do. I don't know why they're dragging their feet, but they are. But what happens, right? When there's just this demand for Cardano at such an undervalued market cap, undervalued price. And speaking of price, what a perfect segue. Here we are, $1.21 on the charts. So this is a 6-hour. Real quick, before I break down the pattern that I want to talk about and the little update that I want to do from last night's video, I do want to go to the weekly chart, because on the weekly chart, I think this is something that we can just use to prepare ourselves, if nothing more. I kind of highlighted this area when we were getting this last 20-week moving average cross above the 50-week moving average. And that's the last time we got that cross of the 20-week moving average above the 50. This is kind of what we're waiting for, right? The 20-week moving average to make its way back above the 50. I don't know if it's going to happen right now. I really don't. I'm a YouTuber. I am in the same boat as you, meaning I don't know what's going to happen next. Nobody in this world does know what's going to happen next with crypto. And that's why this is not financial advice. But this data is I think, important to us. And that is to say this. You can notice when Cardano is kind of bottoming out at that COVID swing low, first off, interesting enough, it was making that move to the upside, right? And then COVID came into play, boom. And it stalled it out. And I always wonder when I look at these charts, Bitcoin charts, what would have happened here if COVID never happened, right? Would this 20-week moving average cross happen right there as opposed to all the way back here? Maybe. Either way, it happened over here. And right here, as Cardano was kind of getting above the 20-week moving average, that green line right here, it consolidated for a few weeks or so, 1, 2, 3, before kind of finally getting above the 20, the 50-week moving average. So if we go back here, you can see Cardano's just now getting above the 20-week moving average. So I think consolidation even next couple of weeks between the 50-week moving average and the 20-week moving average would be very normal. The thing I'm really watching is just to see if Cardano can just hold above the 20-week moving average, because even now, as I do this video, there's no separation, and it's been very volatile on the short-term charts, right? So it could just fall right back below, and we could be on our way down. Taking into context all of those data points we just talked about in terms of supply and retail coming on board, I just want to say, in my opinion, even if Cardano just tanks and there's resistance all at these moving averages on the weekly, and crypto's tanking, Bitcoin's tanking, and we're falling back below $1, and Cardano's testing the 200-week moving average at 50 cents or so, even in that environment, everybody, I'm telling you, I am so bullish on Cardano. And if you think retail is excited about Cardano and accumulating Cardano now, imagine what's going to happen down here below $1. So it's only a matter of time, I think, for the supply shock and this this value shock to enter into ADA and ADA price, and just the community is going to increasingly grow as all of this has happened. So this is the 200-week moving average that we just always are mindful of, and it's not something we're going to talk about in this video, but I wanted to mention that consolidation above the 20-week moving average, even if it's sideways and boring, in the $20s. Let's see. Let's bear with it. Let's take our time and be patient as Cardano figures out what it's going to do, as crypto markets figure out what they're going to do. Let's just go over to the 6-hour chart. Cardano right now on the daily is just above this Fibonacci resistance, which is very good to see. And remember, this was swing high to swing low, resistance, Cardano above it. That's definitely a good sign on the daily. But back to the 6-hour. I did a video yesterday. We talked about, first off, a head and shoulders that was in play, right? Kind of the neckline area down here. And Cardano very quickly, I don't remember exactly where the candle was. 1, 2, 3, probably like right here, actually. Cardano, as I was doing the video, is falling. We were going to see if we're going to get that trend line touch and test. It kind of just went right back up, and then another volatile 6-hour candle. There's been some upward pressure, but long story short, we were tracking that head and shoulders, but we were also tracking a very short term, 1, 2, kind of like this ascending triangle, right? And I don't know really how I missed this speculative triangle, but it's definitely set up right now, and that is this. This is a longer term. It's still short term, but it's bigger. Swing high now, especially with this previous 6-hour wick that we just had today. We definitely have the story playing out of an ascending triangle. You got these higher lows, just this upward momentum, this upward pressure in price. And then we have this very common resistance area that Cardano has now on the charts. And it's like right around, it's like $1.23-ish, depending how you want to measure these wicks, $1.23, $1.24, could be up to $1.25. But either way, just the general vicinity that you see here at this upper trend line is showing some resistance for Cardano. Now, Cardano really entering close to the apex of this ascending triangle. And we have a breakout target to around $1.45 to the upside. Let me move this down a little bit. $1.45 to the upside, and to the downside, right around $1. The reason why $1 is important, we go all the way back here to the daily chart, the 50-day moving average, right at 97 cents. So if Cardano starts making this move to the downside and it's just falling support, maybe we'll get a pullback and then it just keeps falling. Cardano very likely to meet the 50-day moving average in this 97 cent to $1 area, as this kind of pulls up a little bit as Cardano price falls, right? So that could be a scenario where Cardano is hitting the target to the downside and hitting that 50-day moving average. It could still, in the long term, be a bullish move for Cardano, but that would require obviously some patience and endurance on you and I, on our mental states, right? And that's kind of why I do these videos. But again, to the upside, this is what we'd be tracking. We'd be tracking, can Cardano break that resistance line, that upper trend line, and make that move towards upper $1.45, $1.50 area, maybe along the way. There is a throwback. We see them often in these patterns. I forget what Bulkowski on the patternsite.com has exactly as a throwback on ascending triangles. I think it's probably 60 to 65% of the time we get these throwbacks, but maybe this could be the story to the upside. Either way, Cardano, as I said yesterday's video, a big move is getting ready to happen. That could be to the downside. It could be to the upside. We just have to continue tracking it. What is nice to see is just all the upward momentum that Cardano is seeing right now. Will be very interesting to see what Bitcoin does, crypto in general, what it does in the next coming days, because Cardano, once again, getting very close to the apex of the ascending triangle. So time will tell, as always. I mean, how often do I say that? Time will tell. But it'll be interesting to see how Cardano interacts with this pattern and which way it does break. One thing to note real quick, that trend line, right? This long term from that swing high, all-time high trend line, that white trend line, starting to get very close to Cardano price. So be very careful as well as Cardano's getting this move. If it gets the move out of this triangle, boom, this upper trend line area could prove to be some resistance. Maybe that's the throwback that brings it to the upper trend line before another test. Can Cardano break this trend line? That'll be very cool to watch if Cardano even starts testing it. Let's see what happens. this is my video update for the day. I hope you're all doing well. Hit the subscribe and like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.